Hey everyone, and welcome back to FSI DFS. I am McKinley412, and today we're looking at this 5-game early slate on Draftkings. We're going to have a separate video out for the main slate, so make sure to check that one out as well. But for now, just this short 5-game slate. Not a lot of great pitching options, but we do have some nice weather, so that's always a good thing. But as always, make sure you're keeping up to the minute with any lineup changes that might be happening, late scratches, weather, all that jazz. So let's just dive right into the pitchers here. Like I said, there are not many great options. It's pretty separated. You got your two big guys at the top, then a pretty big gap between everybody else. So we'll just start up at the top here. NOLA, NOLA he has the highest ceiling of anybody on this slate. With his strikeout upside, with his ability to go deep into games. You can kind of see he's a workhorse, which is how many pitches he throws. They have no limit on him at all. He's going up against Washington. The offense hasn't been performing terribly, all things considered, because looking at their lineup on paper, it's not scary at all with losing a lot of their top bats. So Washington, surprisingly, been doing pretty well, but I think NOLA can get to them here. His floor is a little bit lower than Wood, the guy right below him. So I do prefer Wood over NOLA in cash games, but NOLA for GPP, for ceiling, he's clearly the top option. Wood, I just mentioned, I like him better as a cash option compared to NOLA. He's $700 cheaper. He's in a more favorable matchup, in my opinion. He's got better numbers against his opponent. Look, he's got 2 games against Arizona, two wins, 23 points average in them. So I like Wood here. Over the season, he's got a pretty good floor. He has his moments here and there, but overall, give me Wood over NOLA in terms of floor, but give me NOLA in terms of ceiling. Then we just hit this big jump among the pitchers, but Joe Ross going up against Philly here. Ross, he honestly wasn't performing too terribly, but then he did get injured a little bit before the All-Star break. And, his first start back, he did really well. 5-inning pitch, no earned runs, just 3 hits. They just didn't let him go deep into the game just because, it was his first game back. So you can't look too much into that. And then against Chicago, he did struggle quite a bit. So Ross, he's not a bad play. He's not fadeable at all. If this is where you land in your lineups, that's fine. Going up against Philly, their offense has struggled over the past 2 weeks or so. So if you do want to target Ross, that like I said, it's fine. I don't got anything against it. Look, he did have a nice stretch here. So 37, 32, 23, 26, it's there. But I think I'm going to be looking more towards Wood and NOLA if I can jam them in. But, he's not a bad third option. Kelly had a nice. He's faced the Giants a lot this season. He's faced them 3 times. It's a 15-point average for him, but if you go through everything, one was at 23, one was at 2, and one was at 14. So he's all over the place. You can't really look at that too much. But in the past month or so, he's pitched very well here. You can kind of see all of his games are in the 20s except for 2 of them. So, Kelly's been doing pretty well comparatively for his price. However, he does have a pretty tough matchup here, and you can kind of see when he has faced the tougher teams like the Dodgers offense and the Dodgers offense, that's when he struggled the most. So, I'm not too excited about him. There is a possibility, that obviously that he can get you 20 points and get 2.5 value. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I think he's probably going to be in the teens, not too much more than that. But again, it's kind of like Ross. If you land here, fine. I don't think he's fadeable at all. He can provide a nice floor for you. But yeah, just because there's such limited options at pitching, I think, any of these 4 guys, that's where you end up. All right. Because everybody else is pretty gross. Skewball, I don't really have any interest in Skewball being a left-hander. I don't like playing left-handers against Boston, especially just because, Boston, it's a great offense, and their greatest hitters are right-handed. So you're looking at, Kiki Hernandez, JD Martinez, you're looking at Xander Bogaerts, and all those other top Boston bats who are righties there. So I don't have too much interest in Screwball. Senzatella, it says he's out. It's not confirmed who is starting tomorrow. We're playing this night before. It's not confirmed who's starting this game. But regardless of who it is, playing a pitcher in Coors is always scary. So I'd probably avoid that there. Perez, gross. He's going up against Detroit, so it's not like he's facing a top tier offense. They have been better post All-Star game. There's no denying that. But at 6.7K, him getting 2x is kind of like his ceiling there, and his floor can be in the negative. So even at 6.7, I don't have too much interest in him. His price has dropped drastically, but even so, I'm not thrilled with him. Bundy, I think, is probably the most interesting guy below Kelly. He was getting a bunch of bullpen stints, and he went 4 innings in his last start. They're really trying to stretch him out now. So he went 72 pitches, 3 earned runs. Sorry. Thank you. 3 earned runs, but really the bulk of the damage was in that first inning. He led up the first 3 base runners, but after that, he nearly went 4 innings without letting up a single hit. So Bundy, I think, he's against a favorable matchup against a weak Texas offense, especially now that they don't have Gallo either. So if they're stretching him out more, he can get you 5 innings. If he can get you, 15 points, that's 2.5K or 2.5x value, which, we were just talking about Perez. There's no chance he's even going to get there. But 15 points for Bundy, I think, is not out of question at all. I think Bundy is probably my favorite option down in this range down here. Arrieta going to Coors, it should be a disaster. Howard against the Angels. Howard doesn't go too deep into games. 5.5K is not going to burn you, but he doesn't go deep into games. And when you're not going deep into games and you do get hit hard, it's tough for you to make up any negative scores that go against you. So no interest there. So NOLA, top dog, but his floor isn't as high as Wood, so I think I'd take Wood in cash, but absolutely NOLA in GPPs for that ceiling. Ross and Kelly are fine options for sure. Everybody else pretty gross. Bundy is the most intriguing one down here. So game by game here, I said I like Boston, and it's going to be those Boston righty bats that I was talking about. It's Xander, it's JD Martinez, it's Kike Hernandez. They are pretty pricey though, so if you do want to go down to one of these guys, if they're in, going with Renfroe or going with Vasquez, completely fine. That saves you a little bit of salary, but if you're a guy that's going to be going with NOLA and Wood as your top 2 pitchers, it's going to be kind of difficult to put a Boston stack in there. Detroit on the other side, Detroit's actually got some pretty solid numbers against left-handed pitching. So I think Detroit is actually a very intriguing GPP play here, given their ability to hit left-handed pitching, given their ability, or given their price tag, really. One of the guys that sticks out is Miguel Cabrera, and I talked about him last time. I was doing a video with Detroit going up against a lefty, and he did pretty well. So 3.3K on the season, or in the past 3 months, he's hitting 367 against left-handed pitching. Like, that's a 3-month sample size, and he's hitting 367. That's just phenomenal. You got other guys like Haas and guys like Scope, who are also hitting well above 300. But as you can see, we always get that first base. Detroit's not a fun team, just with all the funkiness that you get with their position eligibility. But Miggy, he's a solid value play for you on this slate. Angels in Texas, Angels, I don't really have too much interest in this game. I know the pitchers are pretty gross. So you'd think I would have more interest, but no, I guess I do have some interest in the Angels here. Ohtani, obviously, but Fletcher and Stassi. I'm just going to keep pumping Fletcher and Stassi in like every single video that the Angels are on, it seems. It's just amazing what these guys have been able to do in terms of carrying this offense without Trout, without Rendon, without Walsh for the majority of the season here. Texas on the other side, just no interest at all. If you do go here, probably Adolis Garcia or Jonah Heim. Those would probably be the only two. Maybe a one-off from Texas, but that's pretty much it. Coors, obviously, Coors is definitely a a ballpark that you want to target. They've been very popular so far this series. They're probably going to be very popular again. You're looking at Blackman, you're looking at Tapia, you're looking at McMahon. And the cheap guy that everybody's been touting so far or during the slate is Hilliard. He bats low in the lineup, which is not super exciting, but 2.6K for a guy at Coors, you do have to have some intrigue in there. He doesn't have good numbers, honestly, either against right-handed pitching. He really struggles against right-handed pitching. He's low in the lineup, so I don't think he's a lock. I don't think he's as much of a lock as like the industry seems to think that he is. Maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't been as on top of Hilliard as everybody else has been. So Colorado lefties, obviously, but even the righties going against Arizona, or Arrieta, it should be a smash spot for them. On the Chicago Cubs side, their lineup, losing Bryant, losing Rizzo, just losing Baez, their lineup on paper is just not really. It's just not the same. Two guys I'd be looking at here would be Ortega and Wisdom. They're cheap. Obviously that probably makes the Cubs very intriguing, especially with stacks, just because they are so cheap in a Coors environment against a poor pitcher. And it could probably get you guys like Nola and Wood in your lineup there, but it's tough to get too excited about them, but definitely Wisdom and definitely Ortega if you were going to be playing them there. San Francisco, Arizona. I don't have any interest in Arizona just because they're going up against Wood. But on the San Francisco side, Crawford and Duggar. There he is. He's pretty cheap. Duggar. And the third guy would probably be Wade. He's still day to day. I don't think he's played in the past couple of games. Yeah, he hasn't played in the past couple of games. So he's still day to day, but not on the IL, so that's always awesome. But if he's in, I do like him. Buster Posey's a nice option as well here. So I do like San Francisco, prefer them much more than Arizona, but still. Kelly, like I said, he's been pretty well, all things considered. He's been doing pretty well here. So not the greatest interest in this game. And then Washington, Philadelphia. Washington, no interest going up against Nola. And on the Philadelphia side, they got a nice cheap option with Jankowski at 2.9K. He is very, very good against right-handed pitching. His numbers are fantastic. So if you need some value, there's a lot of outfield value with Jankowski, with Ortega. And then say at first base, you put in Miggy. I mean, there's three guys at 3.3K or under that you could be putting into your lineup. So the value is out there. But I do like Boston, obviously Colorado in the Coors game, and then Detroit for a nice GPP play. So that kind of covers everything up for this early slate. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. It really does help us out. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have another slate out for the main slate happening later in the day. So check that one out as well. And I'm actually going to be doing that preview. So I'll see you in the next video. Good luck in your contest, and see you later.